Hello, Rabbi Rosen here. I hope all is well with you. This is the final thought for Shabbat for 2018, and it comes from the book of Exodus, Sefer Shemot, a new book of the Torah, which we begin reading this week. The story of Exodus is one of remarkable drama, how a people is enslaved in Egypt, and ultimately, through the vehicle of Moses, God redeems the Israelites into freedom and ultimately allows them to become a sacred nation guided by Torah at Mount Sinai. In the beginning of the portion this week, we find that Pharaoh seeks to limit the population growth of the Israelites by imposing a kind of genocide upon the people. He decrees that all the male babies must be killed. However, we find the first recorded act of civil disobedience in history in the portion. The Mialdot HaIvriot, the midwives to the Israelite women, refuse to carry out the edict. As a matter of course, they simply say that these Israelite women give birth so quickly that indeed we can't possibly catch the babies and take them away for death. It's a kind of flimsy excuse, and you would think that Pharaoh would harshly punish them, but he doesn't. As a matter of fact, we are told that they continue to prosper because God has blessed them for their action. It's a cautionary tale to us all. We always think that totalitarian regimes are always going to impose harsh punishment upon those who refuse their edicts. In remarkable fashion, we are taught by Jonah Goldhagen and Christopher Browning that even in the midst of Nazi Europe, when there were participants in the horrible Einsatzgruppen, the mobile killing units that went from town to murder Jews and others in the course of the Holocaust at its very beginning, nonetheless, those who could not stomach that work were simply transferred to other units. They were not punished. It takes a remarkable act of courage to state, I will not participate in an act of evil. And yet so often we see that those who do stand up in that way have actually been able to survive, if not to prosper. We are here today because we as a people have been prepared to stand up and answer only to a higher authority, rather than to simply succumb to laws that we deemed to be unethical and evil. So many movements in our culture have also followed this arc. Civil rights, movements against hatred of all kinds, have based themselves upon the kind of courage that these midwives displayed in ancient Egypt. We have a lot to learn from the courage of a couple of special women, and we would do well to embody that act of courage and resilience in our own lives as well. Take care, everyone. Wishing you well for 2019, and Shabbat Shalom.